Okay, so I was looking on TikTok, but there's something weird with my algorithm for one thing. Like I still am seeing just these weird videos, and I don't know. And just a lot of people with just, I don't know, not seeing things. But then I have a whole ton of people who are starting to see things. So a lot of people are starting to see the truth and stuff. But it seems like a lot of people are just keep talking about the balloon thing. And the weird thing about the balloon thing is there's a lot of weird stuff, like where the news, you got all these people saying, oh, it's only on the news, but you go outside, it's not outside. But then you have these other people who keep showing videos that it is outside. And on top of all of this stuff where people are going out to look for the balloon, they're seeing more weird stuff. Like besides this balloon thing over Billings, there's a woman, I guess, that, I don't know, the news is saying she went viral with this video. And so she said that something started happening in the sky and it looked kind of like an explosion or something. So she just ran and got her phone and started getting video and got all this video. And then so she started talking on social media and then the news and stuff like that. But Montana is saying nothing. Oh, no, there's nothing. We don't know what she's talking about. We haven't seen anything. We haven't seen anything. So, of course they're going to be lying. No, another strange thing is, like, I see these people like, go out and see the balloon. Everybody go out, try and get footage, blah, blah, blah. And me, I think, no, you got to stay in because it's probably, I doubt it's carrying a camera. I think it's probably more likely carrying some powder that will spread out and go out. Like, these people are in charge of a lot of sickness. Like, I wouldn't think that they're just floating a balloon over here to just watch us. I'm like, what? No. And then there was a movie, I guess, somebody was showing footage, and the attack on the people was balloons. And they were yellow balloons. And all of these balloons were going through the air and dropping something out on the people. And that's what I think, and more and more. And then there's a whole weird thing about Joe and his reaction. And then Congress stepped in and said, no, you can't do that, because he wanted to go and shoot it down or something over right over the people. And so there was a immediate Congress thing, which I thought, wasn't Congress out of session for 3 weeks or something? Are they already back? Like, oh man, this stuff is all so weird. Like, or 6 weeks, because wasn't there the whole thing? AOC, dude, she's out there just, getting footage of her. It's so funny too, because I think when she starts being like, her and Kamala start trying to talk like they're all like, I don't know. They try and change how they talk, like, I don't know. But I guess Amon, I think is her name, out of the 3 girls, I guess, I don't know, Trump was always talking about him, calling him something. And the one that has the turban on, she, anybody who's done the research knows, like, that there's some stuff, like, going on with that. Like, there's a whole thing with her family, her like, that's shady. Like, it's just more puppets. They're always putting in these puppets. But, the last AOC rant I saw, which I thought was like 2 weeks ago, and she was ranting on something about the moratorium and the homeless people. So I don't know if that was a super old one or something, because like I thought but I don't know, all these different moratoriums that people are in for rent and bills and all that stuff, and it was all a scam. It was all to fuck these people over. But so she was mad because now all these people were going homeless and Congress wasn't in session, wasn't doing anything to help them. And she said they were going to be out conveniently for like 6 weeks. I was like, well, now all of a sudden they're back. Emergency session, because now we've got Chinese, these things floating over us and coming in, and they're not supposed to be doing that. Like, we can't just go and start sending things over to Canada. And I saw this guy this morning talking about Trudeau. He's obviously Canadian, and he's talking about Trudeau and his family and stuff like that. It's like, dude, You go and watch some more research, you'll find out that that's not his real dad. His mom was having an affair with Fidel Castro. Look at the pictures of the two of them together. Like, he's that guy's son, not the other guy's son. The prime minister, that is just the placeholder. That's the guy who's holding the position of power so that they can, bring in the people, the puppets, you know. And I mean, people got to realize so much about the people who move up in the ranks are all social climbers willing to, fucking kill their own mother. Anything for money, anything for buck, anything for, whatever these people offer. I mean, some people, it's, all they need is a couple of access to a couple of small kids. Like, they don't care. I even saw on that roast that they were doing on Rob Lowe where, what's his name? That tall guy, I've talked about him before. He was the guy off in SNL. He went out with Ariana for a while or whatever. He was roasting, which I thought was strange. Why in the world? What is that guy's name? Is it Pete Davidson? That Pete Davidson, that he was roasting Rob Lowe. And Rob Lowe, he said, well, it's in your contract that you get 2 kids a year. I was like, and just the look on Rob Lowe's face was like, dude, you're dead, motherfucker. You don't say that shit out loud. And, I mean, more and more, because that one guy who I always get it, Seth Green. I'm pretty sure it's Seth Green. Where a lot of times, like, I'm always like, I get those redheaded guys mixed up. Like Jamie Kennedy and Seth, but it's Seth Green, the little tiny one, the child actor guy, that he was the one who, he's the one who showed Cappy, when Cappy, that's who Cappy came out on, was him, when he went over to his house because they became friends, like while they were doing some movie or something. And so Cappy went over and he really liked him. He would hang out with him and went over there and was eating. And he said some weird shit at that one dinner that he was like, okay, that's weird. But it was the second time when he went and he opened up the hidden room and said, he said he even did it like this, ha ha ha, that's where we keep the children, and anybody who knows that's real, that's not funny. That's not funny. Kids aren't slave. They aren't your sex toy. Like, what? And then they, they finish up with the, chowing down on them. It's not enough to just abuse them. Let's eat them up too. Like, that is so fucking, that's so much from that, the tribes. Like, that's what the tribes that, ate other tribes. It was like, we'll take your energy. We're going to steal it all from you. Like, you have no power over us. We're going to consume yours. And that is what, and then how they have it out there, now they want us to all go in and get transfusions. So we'll all be hooked on it. And another thing, now that they're putting it in Massachusetts in prison, well, you want to lower your sentence? Well, give us a kidney. And the absurdity, because that is all the stuff that has to come out that I've been talking about. It's the harvest, that's the big money. It's not just the traffic situation. It's what they do with what they do with them. Some of them, some are breeders. Some are, take it in every orifice. Some are, because a lot of these girls, they grow up to become handlers. Like, who is the one that they're always talking about? And her last name is, not Chelsea Handler. Her name says it all right there. And Chelsea, like, she's got some sickness now. And, there's quite a few of these. And it's like, what have you been injected? Like, what's going on? Like, all of a sudden now you're all like, got all these neurological deficits and y'all can't talk. Celine, Bruce Willis, whoever that person was I was just talking about. Like, what the fuck was I just saying? I can't even think who I was just saying. What was that person I was just talking about? Well, anyways, when, oh yeah, because her name is, I think her first name is Chandler or something. She's talked about all the time. I mean, she's all over in the Island Files and stuff like that. And, she's a really pretty girl. But see, her job becomes then to go out and find more pretty girls and pull them in. So, I mean, it's just as corrupt. I mean, you know what they're getting pulled in for. So all of these handlers, because a lot of these, top models, because the whole modeling industry, the whole fashion industry was just all about that, that thing. Let's get some pretty girls. Let's get some pretty young girls to come in here and let's start, using them as our. And what is shocking is like how many more now I've seen of parents. So many parents pimping out their little kid. Like, what in the hell? But, I had seen that in that movie that I was talking about with the rich people. Like how many rich people, when they want to social climb and move up the ranks, oh, well, we want to get invited to this party and so, he really likes little girls. So we'll just offer up our daughter and then we get invited. And, that true story that they made the movie about, that didn't work out so well for him, did it? Because the daughter was then, done in, she got the one-time shot. She got to do it. And then, and it's not like I don't think, you got a 10-year-old daughter sitting there going like, oh, yeah, I just want this old 60-year-old man to come pound town me. And then I'm going to fucking be done in at the end. Like, and these parents, like, yeah, that's worth it. That's worth it. I get to go to the parties. Look at this dress I get to wear. It's like these people are psycho. So when you get these ones that move up in the ranks and become the handlers, they're just as broken. This society is just, there's so many broken people. Like Seth, like he may want to go, like, I don't understand that, like, I've been abused, so I'm going to abuse somebody. Like, I know how bad abuse hurts. I don't want to abuse anybody. But you said these kids that grew up being treated a certain way. I think a lot of it is the programming and the MK Ultra, the mind control, because then they grow up and it's like becomes kind of like their duty or something. It's like, you don't want to be killed? Well, you better go find somebody then that's going to take your place. And then they'll, go out and do it and be faced with that. Like, because then, I'd rather be just like, well, just kill me then. I'm not going to go find you somebody else. Just do me and I'm fine. I'm ready to go. And because then you start bringing those people, well, those girls are going to get the death penalty, It's just as bad at crimes as the other part. The people who bring in the person who's going to be abused, they're going to be held accountable. Not even just in our legal system, which, we already know the outcome is firing squad is going to be active this year. So, those people are going to still get the same outcome, and now you've got to face all of the other people you've hurt in life. And not only that, like, some of those people have already passed. So, it makes you think. If you, because I think the only NDE that I ever heard where the person was evil, like they saw themselves as evil. They were going out and doing crimes and really doing shitty things to people all the time. Like they didn't give a fuck. And then when they died, it was just like in that movie Ghost. I'm pretty sure this scene was out of Ghost. But all these black things started coming out of the ground. And he said it was all these black figures started coming out of the ground and then grabbed him and took him. And see, this is another thing too that people don't realize, that you're creating that. You create that scenario because that's what you think you deserve. So you think you're so horrible, you deserve this, so you'll create it. But so it just made me think, like, are those the people who he hurt that have already passed, and that he has to go through them in order to get to the next part? to face yourself, because everything is about facing yourself. And so, where some people, you pass, and then you've got all of your dead relatives and friends from other lives and everything all gathered around, excited to see you. And so you get all of that, grieving. But, if you've done a lot of shitty things, are you being greeted by those beings? And so, I don't know. But if that would be something that, would definitely put me off. Like, because I know, like, after that Columbine shooting, I had talked about that before through a channeler, that they said that when, I think it was Dylan that she was talking to, and he said when he passed, that I get so emotional on that part, but when he passed, that all the kids that he had just shot were standing there waiting for him. But that part gets me, because they weren't even waiting to be mad at him. They were waiting because they knew how. But see, that's what souls are like. And that is, how insignificant life is. Like, people who will hold on to this life for anything, like kill your fucking uncle so you can hold on to something, let a bunch of kids be killed so you can hold on to something, when you're holding on to nothing. Like, this is so insignificant. And so, it's all about your soul's journey, your soul, what your soul's going through. And, the people who agreed to come into this life and be killed by him anyways were already, even if in this life he didn't recognize them as friends. And you're contracted. You can't be killed by somebody who, everything is a contract. So that was always going to happen that way. That kid was always going to kill those kids. And those kids were waiting for him because they knew how hard it was going to be on him, because he struggled so much. I mean, the kid had so many problems. But, that is like, and for humanity, for us as humans growing, those situations of seeing, a kid who is struggling that much to the point where you're going to go and kill a bunch of other kids, then, that's where, as humans, that we have to step back and go, okay, what are we doing wrong? What's going on here? We can't have parents out working and working and working and ignoring their kids, and their kids are being left by themselves and not having anybody help them to grow up. And so, I mean, both of those kids, I'm pretty sure those ones had really professional parents. I swear, I think one of them, their parent was like a professor and a psychologist or something. I don't remember, because like now it's been like 25 years or something since then, and we've got, like, man, I think already this year there's already been 39 shootings. So, I mean, but all of those different things are to show us and teach us, so that we can start recognizing what's wrong, so we can start fixing it as a being, as a species. And we should, at this point, as a species, be smart enough to be able to look and see, like, oh, this isn't working, so how do we fix it? This isn't working, so how do we fix it? I mean, the people who are running this world, this is how they've been, had their grip on it for so long. That's how they're always outsmarting us. That's why they want to keep us stupid. They don't want to have the challenge of us trying to outsmart them. They want to keep us stupid, insecure, feeling like shit, chasing something that doesn't matter. And so that they have, they like puppets, they like puppets, these mindless people that'll do anything that they're told for, money, access to children, like whatever it is that this, these people need or want. And then they do it throughout society. And then people who, are always going out and searching and trying to get something, chasing something their whole life that is never going to give you any joy, is never going to give you anything that's going to make you feel complete. You may get it and have it, and then you're going to feel just as empty once you got it. I saw this guy just talking, and I thought it was interesting, because he was talking about when he was younger, he just took off and started traveling. And he has all these places written that he's traveled in what years. And he's like going all over the place, all over different countries and different states and different cities and stuff. Like he's going everywhere, like looking for something, you know. And he said that every time he would go, you know, he'd have all this expectation of how things were going to end up. And that's definitely one thing, is you talk to more and more people who are healing. That is one thing that more and more people are like, expectation is an enemy. You can't set yourself up with expectation. So he said that, you know, he would have all this expectation where he would go to a place and it would not go the way he thought. And he said it would be like a downer. But and then when he would try and go back home, home had changed. Home wasn't home anymore. People had moved on. People had changed. People had, you know, people had babies, had gotten married, and all these things kept happening in life. So it wasn't like he could go out and then go back and things would be the same. And so he was just talking about, you know, life choices, and you know, I was taking it as like, you know, it is an adventure, whatever adventure you choose. If it's an adventure to go out and meet people and see the world, then, you know, you can't put it in the expectation like, oh, this will go really good if this happens or that happens. You have to just be open to what is happening. That's the adventure, is to see what happens, to just let things happen and see where you go. And then the life journey of being there and trying to make things a certain way is, I mean, that both things have negatives and positives. Like there's no one set thing. Everybody's always thinking like, if I just had this one thing, everything would be perfect. Every single thing has a good side and a bad side. Everything it's the duality, and that is what we're still breaking free from, is that there's a good side and a bad side. And I just, through my healing, have really recognized the benefits to choosing to look at the positive side. Because if you just look at the negative side, you just feel beat down all the time. Like it's hopeless. Like life is way too hard. When you start looking at the positive side, like, oh, okay, this is shitty thing happened, but like this is a positive that comes out of it. This is a positive. And you start looking at those kinds of things and recognizing the benefits, then it changes your attitude. It changes how you feel about things, how you feel about life, how you feel about yourself. So, it's very important. Everything has to do with your attitude. It has to do with your attitude, your maintenance of your emotional stability, like recognizing what it is that you need and being there for yourself, always being there for yourself. And, like I've said, when I was younger, and I kept thinking, well, if, my husband, if this guy likes me, then I must be okay. But it wasn't that way, but I had to go through and learn, I was never going to feel okay. It didn't matter who liked me and who didn't like me. It was always going to be the same. I had to learn how to like me. And, I think for me, going from a place in my life where I didn't like myself so much, and then getting to the point now where I like myself so much that it is, it just gives me a broad perspective of where I came from, how I got here, and the benefits to it, because it was such a struggle through my through my life, and trying to, I'm married a bunch of times, like always thinking, oh, this is it, this will be the thing. This person really loves me, this person really will take care of me, this person will really be there for me, and it was one down, let down after another. Sometimes, running for my life, going to a shelter or whatever. So, now, I wouldn't even let someone You're gonna talk shitty to me? Fuck off. Get the fuck out of here. Like, there's no guy that's gonna get close to me. Again, even when somebody comes in and tries to act all like, you're the best thing in the whole wide world. No, I'm not. No, you're irrational. Something's wrong with you. Like, if somebody's coming at you like you're the best thing in the whole wide world, that's a red flag. And I mean, it's such a big red flag, and it's the red flag that I never understood. I thought that was real. I thought this is love. No, it's a red flag. Nobody's supposed to fall in love with you the second they see you. Like, what do you love about me? What is it that you even appreciate about me? What makes me special? No, it's nothing. It's like, well, you look like the kind of girl I want to be with. So therefore, you're happening. Then you go and get together with them. And then pretty soon it's like, oh my God, would you stop being so annoying? Why can't you just go back and be who you were? What, when you didn't know me? You didn't ever hear me? You didn't see me? Like, I'm supposed to go back to that? That's in you. How am I supposed to make you go back to that? You just didn't see me. You didn't want to see me. You wanted to see what you wanted to see. And so, now we're in this. We both wanted something that wasn't the right thing. And so now we got a conundrum. Now we're stuck here together. What are we going to do? Fight and scream at each other? Make your kids miserable? So, it's, to me now is like, it's, you got to get to know somebody. You got to know them in their heart and soul. That's what's important. That's the true bond of, really understanding somebody and knowing them and appreciating them. And so, just like, I definitely don't want to throw him under the bus, because I don't mean it like this at all. And, if he sees these videos, I wouldn't want him to take it wrong, because I know he's a nice guy and stuff, and he's always giving me presents and stuff like that. But it's like, dude, every time we talk, we have nothing to talk about. Like, we have nothing in common. I mean, there's nothing. I don't know why, I've gone out with enough guys who just want to go out with me because, they think they're attracted to me. No. If we have nothing to talk about, there's nothing there. Like, you can be friendly as can be to all sorts of, like, I can be friendly to all sorts of people, but I'm not going to go and put time and effort into something where I know it's not there. And I don't care if somebody else sees me and thinks, like, I've been through that too many times, way too many times. And so, then that stuff goes on, where you still will have those same challenges. Those same things will happen. It's just you are the one that changes. Like, I'm not desperate to go out to dinner. I'm not desperate to go have somebody to talk to. I'm good. I'm content. I'm happy. And I know that, what's important is the person who is right for me. And I know that that's an alignment. That's a magnetism. That person will come to me at the right time. And even if I'm frustrated with timing and I want timing to be what I want it to be, it's out of my control, because destiny, it's like you're on a flight plan in life. You don't get to change it just because you want it to be a certain way. You have to ride it out. You have to play along. You have to play the part. And then, what's what you do with the part. How do you maintain self? How do you go through? You're going to pull in that same component to your energetic match. And, and I did it all the time. I was constantly pulling in people just as damaged as I was, and I was just as unfair to them. Yeah, they may have just wanted to be with me because they thought I was pretty, or, a lot of times just because you're tall, they think, oh, I've got like a model. Like, oh, look at this. I've got this tall, thin wife. She's like a model. And so then they think like they're super cool. And, so they're just as weak, like that should not be enough to satisfy you. just like, that's very shallow. And so, and I was just as unfair to them because I chose them for some shallow reason. I thought that they would, be good for me in this way or that way, but they weren't good for me mentally or emotionally. I was dependent on them to make me feel better, and they couldn't make me feel better. All they did was make me feel worse. And, and that becomes very frustrating in life when you keep thinking like you're doing the right thing, you're doing what everybody else is doing. Why isn't it working? Why isn't this working for me? All these other people, they seem to be happily married. Why can't I be? And I sit here. This is the part where I always feel like some sort of hypocrite or something, because I sit here, I can say about having healthy relationships, but since that I've done my healing, I have had no relationship. And I'm not going to just take any old relationship. I'm not going to just go out and just date just to date. I'm not going to go out and just have awkward dinners just to have somebody pay for my meal. Like, fuck that. Like, no. I believe 100% that you're working on yourself and you will come into alignment somehow. Somehow, there's somebody who is as healthy as you are will be at some corner someday, somewhere, and you will meet, and then you'll be with somebody who has is your equal, that isn't trying to take something from you, is able to give to themselves so that you can have a healthy relationship. You can go out and feel good about each, because you feel good about yourself. They feel good about themselves. So you're not trying to get something from the other person. So then you can go out and really enjoy, doing things together and stuff. It's not this toxic, you do this for me and you be this for me, because at some point you can't be what somebody else wants you to be. You just become lost. You become unhappy. You become frustrated, because you want to be accepted for you. And I can't even tell you how many, it's not, especially when you're weird like me, I did have my one husband. He would go and drive, when we would go out camping, he would take me down some roads to look for Bigfoot and stuff like that. He didn't, but he still kind of made fun of me a little, but still, I want to have somebody who is, let's go look for Bigfoot today. Like, they would be all into it, like me, or, let's go out and dance. Let's just go dancing. And, like somebody who is like all about experiencing life and enjoying it, and, not trying to. One thing that I have seen, and this is something that I hear a lot of people talk about, especially when they're trying to do their healing and stuff, is the concept of success. And people get really stuck in their mind of what success is, what success looks like. And if they don't, meet those markers, they feel like they're unsuccessful. And even when some people will, they'll still feel like, well, I got to do more. And they'll put more pressure on themselves. And will always feel bad about themselves because they're not doing enough. It's like, that is where you got to step back and you got to start appreciating all yourself for everything you're doing, not put more pressure on yourself. You're not good enough. Do more. Like, you're constantly going to feel like shit about yourself because, and it's coming from you. It's not coming from somebody else. It's you putting pressure on you, sitting there telling yourself, you should be this way. You should be that way. That's not success. And just like what I was talking about with that guy the other day, where he's like, about his rent and how they had jacked it up $600, and how he felt like he had no value. Here he is, like this very handsome man, speaks 3 languages. I'm sure he's got a lot of things going for him, and and there's no value to him other than if you can't pay this $1,100 rent, then you are, you have no value. You're not successful, which is ridiculous. You are the one who has set that is what success is. There's no set thing. We all come up with this ourselves. And then we put so much pressure on ourselves. And this one was also sad. Like, I've seen so many things with this, the moratorium or all these things, you know, I mean, all these people. And what is really sick too about this too is the divide. Like, when you look at the divide, it's not just in people's attitude of what they're willing to accept. It is just their attitude on all these, like in life, how you feel about other people or something. Is this guy? So he, the guy who I saw doing the video, he's talking about renters, and I don't know. He talks about the bullshit to me of that part of the system that I say is corrupt as a motherfucker. And so he, somebody sent him this video, and it's this guy, a pretty young looking guy, I would say probably mid-30s, real go-getter. You know, he's really going and getting it all done. And so he's now bought a second house. I don't know, it could have been his third or fourth. I don't know, but he bought this house in Miami that somebody was renting. So he obviously has another house. He didn't buy this house because he wanted to move into it. So he bought this house because he wanted to make money. And so, and it's had a renter in there for 10 years. 10 years. And this, I talked about this before because I saw this, like, when I was in Spokane. When I had lost the second house and I had to go and rent in the house that we rented, the guy sold it out from under us. And even in that one, because there was such a shortage of rentals, and the woman who had showed up to look at the house and we were moving in, she was still looking for a place, and she thought it was still available. And she was so frustrated because she had been living at the same place for 25 years. 25 years she had been paying the rent on this house. Like, she should have fucking owned that house by now. And people sold it, and they jacked up the rent where she couldn't afford it, the new owners. And so here she is, 25 years, and she's got to go out and find. And she was an old woman too, old. Like, it was fucking heartbreaking. But so this one was a girl who has been living there 10 years and had 2 kids, single mom, living in Miami, and the rent was $1,100. And so this guy, Mr., you know, Success Incarnate or whatever, he's gone in and bought it. And the guy even showed this guy's account. And in his profile, he calls himself a coach. So I don't know if he's a life coach or he's a school coach, but you're obviously not very build people up kind of coach. And so he calls her, and this was the video because he got it on video. Like, I don't know, was he videotaping this to show, like, what? And so he calls this lady, and he says that he bought the house and he wanted to make contact, whatever. And so she's very nice, very excited. And he says, you know, I didn't know if you want to stay here. And she's like, oh yeah, I definitely want to stay here. You know, I've been living here 10 years. And he says, well, you know, in Miami, the rent is $2,500. And so we're going to raise the rent to $2,000 to $2,200. And she's like, I can't afford that. I've already worked 2 jobs. And he's like, well, sorry, then you get a 30-day notice. 30-day notice. That's the same thing that happened to that old lady after 25 years. You get 30-day notice. Get out. That happened to me when the guy sold the house that we were living in. We had just moved in there, paid all our deposits, and then sell the fucking house right out, you know. I was mad. I was like, that was some bullshit. Sell your fucking house. Don't get renters in it. Like, but, you know, that guy, because these people get so focused on their own issues. Like this guy. Like, instead of doing something good, you know you have a renter who's going to stay there. You know, he could have probably even raised it $100. You know, maybe she could have handled that. But, like, the people who are right now who keep doing videos about these rent, like, they keep getting their rent jacked up, like $500, $600. And, you know, that's a new thing as far as I can remember through renting. Before, there was some sort of rules. You weren't allowed to rent. I mean, you weren't allowed to raise it more than a certain percent. And this guy did like double this chick's rent more than double. She was 1,100, and then he's going to go, well, almost double. If it's going to go 2,000, 2,200. And so, then she's got to go out in Florida where there's a housing shortage. All these houses, all these people are homeless now because of all of the hurricanes. So all these people, there's no freaking, and then you got these assholes that are out there buying these houses that are then jacking up the rent. Well, I'm going to get rich off of all these poor people. It's like that shows what's inside of you. Your soul is willing to fuck somebody over so that you can have what? So you can, you got a vacation planned. Like, those are the things that people have to face in themselves. And these are the things that people don't really realize what they're here for and what they're here to face. And so that guy can look like, yeah, he's got it all going on. He's so successful, handsome, big coach, Now he owns this rental in Miami, and, maybe he'll find somebody who can afford his rent. Are they going to be loyal? A lot of people, when you start paying huge rents, like, as I saw another guy where he was like, he's been paying $1,900 or something, and now they want to charging him like $2,600. It's like, you're going to be giving me, what are you giving me? This guy told this girl, well, they're going to, even more disrupt your life. We're going to start coming in and fixing your house up. So we're going to disrupt your life. I think this guy always intended on getting rid of that lady. He had every intention of getting her to move out, go in, strip out the house, do whatever, and, make it a rental property or just flip it. Because so many of these young people get into the flipping house thing. Because that was even what my ex-husband, my last husband, that he wanted to do. And we went and paid all that fucking money. Like, I told him, you go do whatever you want. And he went to that thing, and then he, got all into it. I think he heard a commercial on the radio or something one day about house flippers and this thing. And then he went, and then he wanted to get into it. And then, well, of course, he had to have me come because, if he's going to sign up for something, I had to be signing up with them. And then I did, but I sat through all these courses. I sat through those things, and it all sounds real good. Like, yeah, you can make a lot of money doing these kinds of things and flipping these houses, and these people, that saw it as an opportunity to get ahead. Like all those guys that went into this house behind me, I feel certain it's still not sold. That whoever is in their house is just like, maybe one of their friends is renting it or something just to keep the homeless out of it while they're, even though there's not a for sale sign, it's like the same people are still hanging out there. So, same voices and stuff from when the guys were over there doing the jobs and doing the construction. And, and then plus I knew they were going to have a hard time flipping that one. They're building all these houses, and then you took that little house, you took the little guest house, and you're going to try and sell it separate from the rest of the house. That was a dumb move. But maybe this person over there did buy it. Maybe it was one of their friends, and they just all go over there and hang out together or something. But the one house also that's down the street, that when all of this, when I said that the stuff with the banks and stuff, because they still haven't, they were going so fast, fixing, it was going so fast. And then all of a sudden, once they started putting the siding on outside, it just stopped. And the other day when I was driving by, one of the construction guys was out there. And so that one definitely is something with the money. And definitely, the banks are going to be issues with the loaning. And so this over here, especially when you start realizing how the system works together. So this developer over here, this fucking dude that I want to smack down, he's the one who's, I'm sure, has got the stuff on the zoning. So the bank and the officials, because I had gotten that whole thing from Whatcom County, sending it out about it. So if he went and he, I think they'll keep making sure that he has his money to get however far in that development. But he also, if he's building, 100, well, whatever's 500 houses, he's got a lot more money to pull from. Because it kind of, if you've ever had one of those home equity loans, an open home equity loan, because that's what I imagine that these guys that are doing these are kind of like that. They have an open loan, like they go in to the bank and they show, and then they've got all of their other they all work together. They all scratch each other's backs. So certain ones, like they grow their own team, like this bank and this developer and this supplier and all that, and they all work together. And so that guy probably has a lot more access or open credit line, and so he can keep things going more. The one over there where it was the one house, and especially if they had a builder, so the builder's coming in and then they're like, well, you could have this or you do this, and then they go over the amount available. But the banks are pulling back on all of this money. So the one with the one house, that could totally be, and I still think that there was something with that one. But those guys over there keep going and going and going. Like he's still over there exploding shit all day long. My house rattling. And I just keep on wondering, like, is he going to hit a gas line? Is something's going to happen. So yesterday, it was so freaking windy here. And it's always this damn dark, dreary. It's so dark and dreary and cold and just shitty. And yesterday it was what was I gonna say? Because it was the sound of the there's a whole bunch of different sounds. Like I swear to God, anyways, because the fucking firmament is coming down on us. I can't even tell you how loud the airplanes and stuff. But what was I about to say? Now still has got me distracted. Still, what was I gonna say? Son of a bitch. The guy with the money over there. So because the wind, the wind started yesterday, and I went and looked it up because I was like, oh, when the trees start blowing, oh my God, there was one by the street, really tall one, and I kept trying to see like whose yard it's in, because and this is another thing too out here that I have found, is that she's a loud drinker, that when like if my tree, because now they've killed all my trees with whatever they sprayed on them, so I have all these dead trees in my yard. So if my tree blows down and smashes over on somebody else's house, they can sue me. So, I'm watching this one that is blowing and blowing, and it was bending. So, oh my God, so tall. It was bending so far. It was like, oh my God. And I didn't even want to go out back and look at the ones. Oh my God, that's the scariest. When the wind and I look out back. That's such an attitude. Hold on. I do that attitude, lady. Hurry up. No one do it for me. But the wind was blowing so hard that the trees were going, and so I went and looked it up, and it said that it said 13 miles an hour winds, but 35 mile an hour wind gusts. I was like, oh my God, is this it? Is this going to be it? The trees are going to start falling on us? Like, what the fuck? The tree fall. I'm so crazy. Because even when I start looking at the tree, and it's blowing and stuff, I can start feeling like what it's going to feel like if it falls on top of me. Like my body will start feeling it. I was like, okay, I can't think about that. I do not want these trees to start falling on me. And the only thing is I just keep thinking, okay, if a tree falls on me, at least it's a quick out. I'll be gone real quick. So I don't know. That's always what really gets me, is the trees. Like it's very scary to have these giant things around you and start blowing like that. So, but man, with so many things, because every single thing that starts, I'm like, okay, is this it? Is this it? Because, man, all these other things that keep happening, like, God, down by Texas, down south and stuff, was like, man, one horrendous storm after another. Because I saw an old lady, this is a really old lady too, and she's in Texas, and she said that the it's not frozen anymore, but they still don't have power. She says still freezing temperatures and they don't have power. And so, you know, I mean, they're still at risk of, I mean, that's what killed them last year. And how many of them just thought last year was a fluke and didn't prepare for this year? You know, going through the same thing again. It's like, ooh, that's why I keep trying to tell people, you got to be more prepared. This isn't stopping. This is not stopping until, you know, I mean, we got a ways to go through this shit. And the things I'm curious about right now, because we're on DEF CON 2. And, you know, another thing too that I want to say, because I've seen, today I saw another woman talking about with Hawaii, but I've seen a lot of different ones. And so the indigenous Hawaiians have been struggling. It's the same thing as like in Chicago, or felt like you go into these certain places where the people, because they showed it in Shameless. I thought they did really good showing it in Shameless, when the you know, these poor people lived in this certain place, and everybody, you know, lived there for a long time, and it was a certain area. And then the gay people came in and decided to fix it up. But then once they fix it up, the people who are living there can't afford it. And so it fucks the people who are living there. And so that's the same thing in Hawaii. And so the Hawaiians are being, you know, just stomped all over, and they're fighting for their lands, and it matters to them what the chemicals and the corporations are doing to destroy it. And then plus they're pricing them out of their own homes, and these are islanders. These aren't ones that can just like jump in their car, you know, and drive down to some other place. Like they're kind of stuck. So like the islanders are poor. Like they had already been complaining so much about what was done to them in order to make it a place for people to go on vacation, jacking up all the prices on everything, putting in all these hotels and stuff. Oh, but you know, they get a job, right? Maybe they don't want that job. Maybe they don't want to have all these people coming in and having all their restaurants be super expensive so that the travelers can be gouged, you know. Hawaii is like freaking hellacious on the prices. I can't imagine being an islander or, you know, original family from there, and then, you know, what they've done to make it where the people can't even afford to live in their own communities. And they do this over and over. It's what these developers do, even out here. These developers here with, I mean, there's lots of poor people out here. Like the neighborhood even next to me is super poor. And so, I mean, mostly all trailer homes, and the messy, like just shambles, like of places. When I went over there, even there was a giant RV turned on its side, and they couldn't even get it turned back up. And that was from the windstorm. And you go drive through those neighborhoods, and the tree's down on a house, and it stays that way. There's nobody to fix it, nothing to get fixed. So, you know, there's a lot of people out here who are poor, and then they're coming in with this zoning, and then they'll come in and they'll say, okay, well, we got a climate crisis. That's their next thing. They'll come in. I mean, they're every intention of hurting us out there. And this is the thing that really 100% just motherfucking pisses me off like no other. You're coming out here wasting resources. So the big problem is that we don't have enough resources for all the humans on this planet because y'all are in charge of them. And then you're going to come out, destroy the fucking planet, go over here and just, you know, chopping down trees and bulldozing through all the little animals and all that shit, killing everything in sight, putting up all these expensive houses when the whole plan is to fucking herd us right on out of here. So it blows my mind, the wastefulness that goes on. And these corporations don't care because they're only caring about the money that is being processed right then. Like I mean, there really is people who really think like a bank would not loan you money if there was really going to be the water rising in California. Well, then that's just foolish if you think that, because you're making payments. I mean, anybody who even understands about house loan, you end up paying like triple, almost 4 times the amount of your house with the interest over 30 years. It's a huge amount. So you've paid for the house. You know, they're all they want is the money you're giving them right then and there. You know, and then they're only worrying about themselves getting richer right now. And then they'll go and buy the properties that are in the new map so that they can rent it to you and gouge you. Like this chick is being gouged because that is what their plan is. That's why you've got all these billionaires buying all this property that is on the doomsday map in the places that are still available. They're not over there buying all of this. Like, I think, what's his jack off? Gator Boy. I think he's bought a shit ton of California. But bet your ass it's going to be a part where, you know, is, because when you go in and you look at the doomsday map, there's a part of California that's still there. That's the part I'd say he's buying because he wants to own all of the primo stuff. He wants to charge us. I mean, and you think like, well, he doesn't have that much power, really? Because what's going on with the eggs? And he is now owns a lab corporation that makes fake eggs. And it just so happens that we're running out of all the others. Huh. But, you know, I mean, that is also where you have to realize he's just a puppet. I mean, the person who's really doing all this isn't that jack off. You know what? Another thing, too. I mean, you speak about hypocrisy. And I think this was a video somebody made because it was the Frauchi and Gator Boy talking. And they were talking about, you know, like how stupid and crazy us people are, that we won't run out and do these things that they want to stick us with. And you know, but he's going through this whole, you know, his evaluation of mankind, of humans, and you know what he, you know what, you know what his take on it. It's like, motherfucker, you won't even give them to your children. So what? Like, you're going to come out and tell us, like, what's wrong with us because we won't take, but you're, like, you fucking manipulative fucking, God, I can't wait to see that guy. There's going to be some of those, I'm going to tune in. I swear to God, I will. I think his is probably already done. I think the person that they're out talking to and stuff is some sort of clone or stand-in or body double. There's so many of these like rappers and all these different people now have come out and said, I can't even remember what actress it was the other day I saw talking, and she said that they have a clone for everything. Like she has a clone that goes to meet her family. She has a clone that does her cleaning. She has a clone that goes out and runs her errands. Like she doesn't, you know, these people live real different. Like, but in order to live like that, you also have to, you know, you pay in a way you don't want to pay. Like they're going to take something from you that is not something that you're going to want to give freely. You know, and the things that they want to take from you are going to hurt much more than what people think. They go into it thinking like, yeah, that's no big deal. I could do that. I mean, now you got fucking Jennifer Aniston and, which I can't stand that chick. She makes me want to puke. Who is it also on her team? The same kind of fucking douches. All these douches that are now, they want to make a, not boycott us. They are going to not make any movies. They're going to not work. They're not going to make any movies until we all go and take our medicines. Once we all go do it, then they will come back for us and make movies for us again. I was, fuck you. Fuck you. Like, oh my God, these people, the arrogance. Like, you really think you're that fucking important? Like, you're going to force it? Like, man, and the thing is with her is knowing, like, she comes from that family line So she's probably is MK Ultra, because some of these people, it's like, are you for real? Like, are you a fucking human or are you a robot? Like, what's wrong with you? To sit there and think like you're gonna force us. I wish I could remember the other people. You can look it up, because they are making a whole thing about it, that they want to do. I don't know what the word is. I can't think of what the word is. 'Cause it's not boycott, but it's the same kind of thing. Is refuse to work for us until we do what we're told to do. Yeah. But anyways, there's a whole group of these actors, these people who think that these self-appointed idols, these people who are so in love with themselves that they are now going to put pressure on us that we better comply, or they'll just stop making movies. Like, we'll show you. You probably stop making movies because nobody goes to see your shit anymore. Huh? That's probably really it. Nobody gives a fuck. And the people who do, I mean, that's just sad. Yeah. So, yeah, anybody who's going to be fucking doing something like that. Next, they'll have old Kim out there telling them if she didn't have her own battles going on, like, yeah. But one thing, too, because of all these different things that I keep seeing, like Madonna, goddamn, that girl, out walking with her son. I mean, is it a son? Like, who? Just fucking fuck this kid, like, all up. And I just was thinking, because Kim and all of these different people, and how, they always use surrogates. That's a thing. Like, where you get, or the people who talk about that so much, they start saying, well, it's because they're not their same gender. They're all like the wrong gender, so that they can't have babies regularly. So, they all get these babies that are either adopted or somebody else had them. And then the thing that is weird is, I think this has been on my mind for one thing, because Julia Roberts' kid keeps showing up all over the place. And now she's supposed to be 16, and she looks exactly like Julia Roberts. And I was like, man, did that kid have red curly? No, that was the son that had red curly hair when he was little. But I was just like, how many of these kids are the same kid? Like, I don't know. Like, probably Brad Pitt's daughter, Shyla, she could probably be the same one, because she's constantly got a camera in her face. But some of these kids, because somebody was talking about how they keep them hidden. It's like, how do we even know these are the same ones? Did they kill these ones off? Did they sell them and then get another one and said it's the same one? Like, I don't know. There's something weird going on about all of that stuff. And the fact that they don't have their own kids, I don't even know that they really feel that attached to their kid. Like, are their kids just made in labs? Like, I don't know. Or something. I think there's going to be a lot of weird shit that's going to come out about some of that stuff. Because it's just too weird. Like, and it makes you think, like, how many people are, I mean, I don't know, how many of the actresses have we even seen pregnant? And there was a whole thing, and back in the 40s, there was actresses and stuff who, because I remember hearing about this when, not Betty Davis, the other one that she was always in competition with, the one that was Mommy Dearest, because she adopted kids to show, like, how she was so perfect, but then she was super abusive. And, but there was a lot of them back then who, like, if they would have a baby, but if something was wrong with it, like, they just, like, I don't know what they do with the kids when they have something wrong with them. Do they just sell them, or do they just kill them? But they just make, like, kids disappear. Like, it's weird. And I don't know, there's a lot of weird stuff about the whole thing with Hollywood and kids and how they've kept Hollywood going and their whole clones. Like, it would not surprise me at all if, what's her name? Julia Roberts, if that's not even, and why do they keep showing the daughter? Why aren't they showing the son? Like, what does he look like now? And if he doesn't have red curly hair, that's going to be a tell, I'll tell you that. And so, I don't know. Something happened with these kids? Is it all just part of the show? And then, and I'm trying to think, because even Katy Perry, she pretended to be pregnant. Like, she wore that fake belly. People were getting all sorts of pictures of that. Like, I don't know. There's some weird shit. There's just more weird shit is going to keep coming out. But there's something really weird about the kids stuff. And especially, it's part of the exposure. This whole Madonna thing and this stuff with her son. Like, all of the stuff going on is all about exposing. And so when you just start noticing, like, man, that is weird. That is weird. Her daughter to look that much like her. Like, is that her daughter or is that a clone? Is that a clone that they paid for because now, they want to market. They thought Julia Roberts was a success, so we'll just do that again. We'll replay that one. I don't know. There's a lot of weird shit in this world, and it just gets weirder and weirder. So, anyways, we're back to the weekend. The banks didn't crash. We're not all fucking out of debt yet. So, hopefully this week, that will go down. I really hope the banks will hurry up and crash. But, this DEFCON 2, we have fucking balloons going over us. They're probably full of some sort of toxic thing that'll just take us out instantly. Like, and if it does follow the pattern of that movie, they're going to bring a whole bunch more of them. So, and I just more and more, making Joe look foolish. And something, though, there's something that with the documents is what I'm hearing. Something about the documents is going. I think that they may have even gone. This was yesterday. It was last night. It was footage. Yeah, that was, because I saw this footage several times. And it was a press conference. In the press conference, the guy said that Joe and Kamala and all of them are being investigated over that stuff, and that they will be taken down. It will just go. Like, they'll just take them down. So that's what we're waiting for. Something. Fucking hurry up and take these motherfucking puppets down. I'm sick of looking at their stupid faces. I'm so fucking sick of Joe's face. And every time when he comes out, like, I don't know. I can't wait to see that mask come off. I really want to see who's playing. And God, I swear, I just really, really hope there's some Scooby-Doo on that. I really would love that. Just pulling all their faces off. And I really hope that they bring out all the Joes at once. Like, bring out one Joe, pull his mask off, bring out the next, the next, the next. Let's just see how many Joes were there. That'd be a curious thing. So, I don't know. I think we have some exciting things up here soon, hopefully. I don't know how much longer we have to go through this stuff that's exposing the truth. But anyways, I'm real hopeful this week is going to be a good one. So, stay strong and stay safe and stay out of the storms, because there's one after another. And don't go outside looking for balloons. Like, if you're going to go outside looking for balloons, go out, like, you need a gas mask and everything else. Like, I don't know. I don't trust whatever's coming. And here where the planes and stuff just get louder and louder. Like, even yesterday, there was such this weird, like, loud, like, explosion. I was like, I paused the thing and I'm like, what is that? And I go out and it's like, is it the construction guys exploding things? So I go out on the porch and I'm trying to hear. And it sounded, I'm assuming it had to be some sort of plane, but it sounded like there was like a battle going on. So I don't know. I swear to God, I go out there and I'm just expecting the firmament to just open up and we're just going to see. So I don't know. I'm excited though. Something big's coming. So stay strong and I will talk to you tomorrow.